What's going on, everybody? It's Asthmatic here, and I want to talk about this Elite stuff that Microsoft has coming out this holiday with the Xbox One. Now, we've got an Elite controller, and then we've got the Elite Xbox One bundle. So, I'm going to start off by talking about the controller, because that's really the headliner. That's the big new cool thing. So, modded controllers are not new. If you haven't heard about them, please crawl out of the rock you've been living under. They've been a thing for quite a while. People will either modify them to make the triggers work faster. Some of them they have certain buttons. I think they usually call them turbo buttons that you can hold the button down and it, say sends the trigger signal, a zillion times a second and that kind of stuff. So playing, say for Halo example, you can get the maximum rate of fire out of a battle rifle, and you can just it's fast as it can possibly be. So these have always been private things. It's never been something that Microsoft themselves have gone after until now. So I've got thrown up in the background here the Elite bundle, which includes this Elite controller, which obviously on its base looks like a regular controller, except it's got this like super cool like stealth black finish, which is better in person. I got to be at E3 this last July, and I actually got to hold one of these things, and they feel really good. They feel awesome. It's got like it feels like a rubberized, like over metal almost finish. It's very comfortable. It's very sturdy. It's a little bit heavier than the regular controller, and it just feels really solid. Feels really well built. On the surface, it is pretty much the same as these controllers. I've got the Titanfall one right here just to show. Like all of your stuff up here is in the same general place, except there's this little extra switch right here. And what that allows you to do is switch between one of the two preloaded setups that you're going to have on there. And I'll go more into the setups in just a second. Apart from that, all your other buttons here are the same, except the D-pad is swappable. There, you can have this style D-pad, the classic style, or as you can see right here, I need to go this way. As long as I'm not blocking it, you can put like a dish in there, which just gives you a better ability to utilize, the sort of northwest and southwest, northeast, southeast type directions. You've got things like added definition on the triggers, which plays into this new app that's going to be on the Xbox, which is going to allow you to go into the controller and ultra fine tune everything. So you can go into the controller and say exactly where in this arc do you want it to register that you've pulled the trigger. So you can have it be, just the slightest little touch, it goes, or, like say you play Battlefield and you do a lot of sniping and you want to really have control of the exact moment when you let that shot off, and you want it to be almost all the way down so that you can rest on the trigger and then just give you that last little bit when you're ready to fire. Also on the triggers, you've got they're calling them hair trigger locks. So obviously the trigger normally has this full range of motion, but there's just a switch right here for both triggers that has that it's a physical block, so that the trigger actually only travels I think it's like a third or maybe even a fourth of the distance. And it's just, if you're say playing Halo DMR, you're playing SWAT with the DMR and you want to just be able to get shots off real quick, it reduces the amount of time it takes for you to shoot and for the trigger to reset so that you can shoot again. And yes, I am talking about the tenths of a second intervals here. Like, it's the amount of time that we're talking about is very, very small, because this is a controller not for the everyday gamer. It's called the Elite because it's for the elite. This is a top-notch controller. On the bottom of it, we've got optional up to 4 paddles. You can have 0, you can have 1, 2, 3, or 4 in any configuration that you want. They actually clip into the bottom, and it's magnetic. So you can pop them out anytime you want. If you're in the middle of a game and you're like, I hate this thing, it's in my way, you could literally take your finger and just go and pop it off and get it out of your way. They are mappable to any button you want on the controller. If you want it to be the A button, clicking the right thumbstick, a bumper, whatever, it's mappable to anywhere. And this brings me to things like thinking about sprint, which are going to be, it's typically a click of the right thumbstick. I can put that right down here. Now, if you're looking at the Elite controller and going, I feel like I want one, but I've never used a controller with paddles before, so are they going to get in my way? Let me remind you that they're 1, totally removable, and B, totally optional. I just went 1 and then to B. That was awesome. they're totally optional, so you don't have to run them at all. And in fact, that's what I heard at E3 from most of the people who were involved in the testing of this controller, is they started off just using it exactly like this. And then after a while they go, you know, I've got that functionality, let me try it out. And as they got more comfortable, they used more stuff. You've also got interchangeable thumbsticks, so you can have the regular ones like what are on the standard Xbox One controller, or you've got some domes. There's a picture of them right here. You've got this short dish, and then you've got sort of a mid-range dome, and then you've also got a tall dish as well, just for whatever best suits your playstyle, because that actually gives you a bit of a physical advantage in terms of the physics of how the thumbstick actually works. With it being taller, you're able to move it. You're able to move the thumbstick less. So if you're, say, wanting to sneak up behind someone, you know, you've got the ability to move ever so slightly, very, very slowly. And on the right thumbstick, say, if you go back to being a sniper, if you want to really be able, if you're, say, playing Battlefield and you're rocking the 40x hunter scope and you're shooting at incredible distances and you need super fine-tuned precision on that right thumbstick, you can, one, put on that super tall thumbstick that's going to give you really good precision on the physical side, and also in the app you can tune the sensitivity of that thumbstick to be super precise. And then coming back to the ability to switch profiles, again, Battlefield just works for this for me because it's a game where you can really switch from being, say, assault to being recon. So if I'm playing as a sniper, I can have my setup 1 being right there, where my right thumbstick is really, really precise for when I'm zoomed in and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I can switch back over to 1 where I've got, you know, on my paddle right here is going to be for my sprint, and I've got increased sensitivity on my right thumbstick, so that way my aiming down the sights is really, really fast, and I can maybe even do the same thing for my right trigger for shooting, so that I'm getting those shots off real quick. Thinking about that maybe from the Halo perspective, let's say I want to remap the controls entirely to drive the Warthog the way I want to drive it. One of my dreams from Halo ever since the beginning has been able to drive the Warthog the same way I drive a car in Forza Motorsport. I might be able to do that now with Halo 5 and an Elite controller, because I might be able, and I don't know this for sure, this is where my knowledge gets fuzzy. I'm not sure if I can map something like the pushing forward on the left thumbstick to the right trigger. I wish I can, I hope I can, but I don't know for sure, and I will definitely keep you guys updated once I have that information, whether it be yes or no. But if you can fully remap this thing, you have unlimited possibilities. You can do whatever you want. So I can have my profile 1 the exact way I want the Warthog to be when I'm driving around. If I want, you know, special sensitivities or changing buttons around or whatever, I can do that. I can put the horn wherever I want, whatever. And then as soon as I hop out, all I got to do is reach up, flip that thing over to 2, and I'm back into whatever profile setup I have for my run and gun in Halo 5 Guardians. This Elite controller is awesome. It's pricey though. It does come in at $150, which, I mean, is almost 3 times the cost of a regular controller, over twice the cost of the Halo 5 controllers. But you know what? I think with time, I feel like it's going to be worth it. If you're a real hardcore gamer and you know, you're really looking for a little bit more, you're looking for a way to be that 10% better, even maybe that 50% better, this controller is what can do it for you. And I think this is a product whose possibilities haven't yet been discovered. Because I saw this at E3 and I was like, wow, cool, an Elite controller, that's really nice, blah, blah, blah. And I went home and I wasn't like losing sleep over it. I wasn't like, I need this controller. I was like, wow, cool, nice. But in the past couple months since then, I find myself playing going, man, I wish I had that paddle. You know, oh, it'd be so cool if I could change the sensitivity here. Or if I had a different whole entire setup. And you start to find more things where it's like, man, that'd be good, man, that'd be great. And I feel like the longer the lifespan of this controller, we're just going to find more things where it's like, oh man, using that is cool, or using that is cool. And in other games, not my examples here have been first-person shooters, but in other genres, I'm sure we're going to find awesome ways of applying the capabilities of this controller. Moving on to the console, that is a bundle that's going to be available this holiday season. We've got what they're calling the Xbox One Elite Bundle, which comes with the Elite controller we just discussed, and then an Xbox One with a 1 terabyte, what they're calling the solid-state hybrid drive. Now, I don't know exactly what portion of that terabyte is solid-state and what portion of that terabyte is magnetic, but what I can tell you is that part of it is solid state, and part of it is your traditional magnetic storage. And so they're advertising this as adaptive memory technology. So pretty much what your Xbox is going to do is look at what games do you play a lot, what apps do you use a lot, what data are you constantly accessing, and it's going to store that data on the solid state portion of the drive, which means you're going to be able to get to it real quick. Your load times are going to be real fast. The only question I have about this console is whether or not there's going to be a manual override for that. You know, I mean, I'm sure this adaptive memory technology is going to work well and is going to do its job, but I'm just all for freedom when it comes to these things, and I want to have the ability to say Halo 5 is going to be the game that I'm playing, and so I want that to be in my solid state storage. Or let's say that I've been playing a different game for a while. Sorry, I mean, I know I'm blaspheming here, but let's say I play another game for a couple of weeks, and this adaptive technology moves Halo out of there, puts it back on the magnetic, and then all of a sudden my friends are like, hey, there's a tournament we just got into online, and we need you to hop on and let's go. And now my Halo isn't in that solid state portion, and you know, I could be not getting the benefits of having the solid state hybrid drive. So just a quick reason that I'm like, you know, I really would like to have a manual override. So if anyone from Microsoft is listening, that'd be great. So you've got 1 terabyte built in. You obviously still have the capability of external hard drives and over USB 3.0. Comes with all the stuff that you're used to. You know, you've got HDMI cable, power supply, blah blah blah. You guys don't need to hear about that. This is going to be coming out holiday season, so they're advertising it as, you know, coming with obviously the backwards compatibility, which is going to be so awesome. The Elite controller, I think I've gone over everything that comes in that bundle. It comes with a cable, comes with a carrying case. I think this is the way I need to lean. Comes with a carrying case that you can see here. One last thing I want to throw in about that controller. The 2 profiles that you have stored on the controller are stored on the controller. So I can take this with my profiles, go to my friend's house, sync it to his Xbox, and I've got my profiles. On your home Xbox, though, you can store up to, I think it's like 256 or 255, you know, somewhere in that binary range of different setups. So, I mean, I can't really think of a reason why you would want to have more than 20 different setups, but if you for some reason need 250 of them, you've got the space for that, which again, going back to the freedom of it, is great, because there's probably someone out there who does need that kind of space. But the 2 that you store on your controller are stored on your controller, and they go with you wherever you take that controller. So this is going to be coming out this holiday. I'm going to say holiday. They've said that the controller is going to be out in October, but it's now October 22nd. We've only got about a week and a half left of October, and the controller's not out yet, so I don't know when that's coming. It's going to be $500 if you're someone who is excited about the Elite controller and you don't have an Xbox One yet and you're not really big on the Kinect. I think this is going to be the console for you, because you know, you get the amazing Xbox One, you get the terabyte hard drive, you get the solid state portion of that drive, and you get the greatest Xbox One controller, or I should say the greatest Xbox controller ever made. So that's what we've got on the Xbox One Elite bundle coming this holiday season to your favorite retailer. Thanks guys for hanging out. This has been Asthmatic. See you next time.